The medical bay of the Celestial Harmony hummed with its usual sterile efficiency when Alara Wynne noticed the small Vakri cub shivering in the corner of the waiting area. The child, no more than 6 solar cycles old by human standards, had fur that rippled between deep violet and sickly gray, a telltale sign of Vakri illness. "Hey there, little one," Alara said softly, kneeling beside the cub. The child's translator collar flickered. Throat hurts, head spinning, Alara's heart clenched. She'd seen this before during her rotation on Vakri Prime. The species had notoriously sensitive immune systems, and what humans called a common cold could lay them out for weeks. The medical staff had already administered the standard antivirals, but those took time to work. "I'll be right back," Alara promised. 20 minutes later, she returned with a steaming mug. The cub's large, luminescent eyes fixed on the rising steam with curiosity and wariness. "It's called tea," Alara explained, blowing gently across the surface. "Chamomile and honey. My grandmother made it for me whenever I was sick. Here, careful, it's hot." The cub took a tentative sip, then another. Within moments, the violent shivering subsided. The cub's fur began shifting back toward its healthy violet hue, and the tenseness in its small body melted away. "Better?" Alara asked. The cub nodded vigorously, clutching the mug with both paws like it was the most precious thing in the galaxy. What Alara didn't realize was that Corvin, the Vakri fleet commander's personal aide, had been waiting nearby to collect the commander's youngest offspring, and Corvin had been watching everything. 48 hours later, Alara was summoned to the observation deck. She arrived to find Commander Corvin himself waiting, his imposing form draped in the ceremonial silver that denoted his rank. His fur rippled with the deep purples and blues of contemplation. "Medical Technician Wynne," he began, his voice carrying the harmonic resonance typical of his species. "My cub speaks of nothing but the magic water you provided. They insist it cured them faster than our finest physicians," Alara blinked. "Oh, it was just tea, Commander, an earth remedy. I thought it might help with comfort while the antivirals did their work." Corvin's ear tufts twitched, the Vakri equivalent of a smile. "This tea, you possess more?" "Well, yes, I have a personal supply." "Why? I would be interested in experiencing this remedy myself." Alara found this odd, considering Corvin looked perfectly healthy, but who was she to refuse a fleet commander? She prepared a cup of Earl Grey something with a bit more complexity and presented it to him. Corvin took a sip. His fur exploded into a cascade of colors Alara had never seen before: golds, crimsons, brilliant whites. His eyes widened. "By the ancestral stars," he breathed. "This is extraordinary." By the end of the week, Alara had been summoned to prepare tea for 17 different crew members. Each one arrived at the medical bay with increasingly creative complaints. "I have a cough," declared Lieutenant Zavesh, a Vakri pilot who'd passed her flight physical that very morning. "Headache," mumbled Ensign Thrin, avoiding eye contact. "Generalized malaise," said another, reading the symptoms off their datapad, Dr. Moss. The station's chief physician, a gruff Terran with 30 years of experience, cornered Alara in the supply room. "What the hell is going on? Half the Vakri fleet is suddenly sick, and they're all asking specifically for you?" Alara could only shrug helplessly. "I think I want tea?" Dr. Moss stared at her. Tea. The entire Vakri military contingent is faking illness for tea. It appears so." The doctor pinched the bridge of his nose. "Humanity's great contribution to interstellar relations. Not our technology, not our art. Tea?" The situation reached critical mass when 3 Vakri destroyers altered course to dock at the Celestial Harmony without authorization. Admiral Korvath herself, Corvin's superior and one of the most decorated commanders in the Galactic Coalition, arrived at the medical bay. She was a magnificent specimen of her species, easily 8 feet tall, with fur that naturally shimmered silver with age. She walked directly to Alara's station. "I have traveled 6 parsecs," the Admiral announced. "Because my entire officer corps will not cease discussing this tea. They claim it possesses restorative properties beyond our medical science. I must verify these claims personally." Alara, having prepared for this inevitability, had already set water to boil. "Any preferences, Admiral?" I have chamomile, Earl Grey, green tea, oolong, chai. What would you recommend for someone of my years and stress levels? Ilara considered. Lavender and mint. It's calming but invigorating. 5 minutes later, Admiral Corvath sat in the medical bay's visitor chair, a delicate teacup cradled in her massive claws, looking more peaceful than her reputation suggested was possible. Remarkable, she murmured. How is this not a controlled substance? Within a month, Ilara found herself reassigned. Not demoted, promoted. She was now the official cultural liaison specialist for human Vakri relations, with her primary duty being the establishment of tea protocols. The Vakri High Council had formally requested that humanity establish tea houses on every coalition station with a Vakri presence. In exchange, they offered priority trade agreements, enhanced security cooperation, and access to their most advanced medical databases. Earth's diplomatic corps was baffled but delighted. Commander Corvin visited her new office's spacious quarters with a fully equipped kitchen on opening day. You realize, he said, accepting a cup of jasmine tea, that you've accomplished what decades of negotiation could not. The Vakri fleet is more cooperative, personnel morale has increased 43%, and reported incidents of stress-related illness have dropped by half, Ilara smiled, pouring herself a cup. All because I made tea for a sick kid. Corvin's fur rippled with warm amber tones. Humanity has a saying, yes? It's the little things? Something like that. He raised his cup in salute. To little things that change everything. As word spread throughout the galaxy, other species began inquiring about this mysterious tea. The Zelari wanted to know if it worked on exoskeleton molting discomfort. The Prin wondered if it could soothe their neural migraines. And Ilara Wynn, former medical technician, became the most unlikely ambassador humanity had ever produced one cup of tea at a time. Because sometimes the greatest diplomatic breakthroughs don't come from weapons or treaties or grand technological exchanges. Sometimes they come from simple kindness, offered freely to someone who needed comfort. And sometimes that's exactly what the galaxy needs most.